Because democracy basically means government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.
Hello, and welcome, one and all, to the Snide Show. I'm your host, as always, Cornelius Edward Snyder, otherwise known as Corey the Curator, joined today by my favorite co-host, Joe Bridges, the man who bakes everything, including himself. How are you, Joe?
I'm doing quite well this evening. I hope you are also.
I am, and it is fantastic to have you on. You know, this is becoming a great part of my routine. I look forward to it. Even though I'm kind of like, I procrastinate everything. So, again, right down to the wire, I'm sending things out. I'm sending articles. I'm sending news stories. But, it keeps things fresh. Which is great.
Yeah, when you're on your toes, what better way to dance?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, let's get to the slice of life. All right, welcome to the slice of life where we break off some chunks of our flesh for you people. We're what is it? The pound of flesh or whatever? What is that?
I could give way more than a pound.
I bet. Let's see. Well, you've been giving out a bunch, and here I am just showing everyone the raw Facebook feed.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah. Because I wanted to get into these wonderful. Well, what really caught my eye, we'll get to in a minute, but this was like basically just in a couple days ago. A chocolate dipped strawberry cheesecake. Tell us more about this confection.
Oh yeah, I was approached by a local restaurant that I bake for in my town, Damascus, the Tipsy Bear, to do something for their Valentine's Day menu that they were doing for weekend service. And it was a prefix menu, and I decided to give them a couple of options for dessert, and this was my cheesecake option. It was a chocolate cheesecake with chocolate chips, full of freeze-dried and fresh strawberries, topped with fresh strawberries and chocolate ganache. And I was really happy with the way it came out, and everything went really well from what I heard.
I mean, this looks like something out of one of those like fucking model like Hershey catalog things, this is amazing. So it's got you always have like a cheesecake offering, which I really appreciate. Being a cheesy man myself, I really do. Is that have we talked about that before?
We might have, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of my signature thing. I don't know how deep we delved into it, but I've made like at this point over 120 flavors of cheesecake. I mean, there's like combinations and obscure things. I made dill pickle. I made
Right.
white chocolate Carolina Reaper cheesecake before. That came out very nice. The balance of the ultra spicy pepper, but then tamed down with both white chocolate and the cheesecake batter really ended up having a nice balance.
Fucking A, man. Yeah. I love those adventurous flavors for sure. So it says here the other ones, the blackberry tiramisu. Did we not get a cheesecake photo of that one? As
Well,
they
no,
say, what is it?
it is a tiramisu. It kind of, unless you get a picture of a slice of it, you don't
Hmm.
really get the full magnitude
Sure.
of the layers inside. And all I had were trays of them where all you could see was the cocoa powder on top. It was not an, it wouldn't have been an impressive photo.
Good point. Yeah, yeah. No, you got to get the cross section at least until we get smell-o-vision or flavor-vision. Like I can't wait. That's gonna be
Yeah,
something else.
sometimes I'm lucky and I'll do like a pop-up bake sale where I'll sell individual slices of cheesecake and desserts, and that's when I can get like a nice picture of what's inside of them. But normally I'm just selling whole
Uh,
desserts.
Good point. Good point. I guess it would be wild if you like showed up to the event and you would just like came up in there with a cannon and just like started like getting all up in as people are cutting it and everything, you know.
I've been pretty lucky. There's been a couple of times where I've delivered cheesecakes to restaurants and people have ordered while I'm there, and I'm just like, hey, can I get a picture of it after they get the slice out?
Hey, I'd let you take a video of the whole mukbang, man. Um, for sure, for sure. Moving on though, this is what really caught my eye this past week, and I see other people were kind of feeling the same way. This is kind of like it. Yeah, I was about to say somewhere in the realm of creamsicle, dreamsicle,
Yeah, it's
cheesesicle.
exactly what it is. Yeah, it's an orange creamsicle swirl. So it's two different orange cheesecake batters.
Hold up, hold up. See, I love that. I love when people do that. It reminds me of the time when AC and myself were teenagers and we would make burgers with both sausage and beef, and we would just decadence, just pure decadence, and that's what this is giving. Because so two different cheesecake batters swirled like a classic creamsicle might be.
Well, yeah, that's what it's like, a sweet vanilla orange cream batter and then a straight up strong pungent like citrusy orange
Oh,
batter.
my
They
mouth is
balance
watering.
out really nice. Usually I put whipped cream on top. I decided this time to put white chocolate.
A madman. I love it. I love it. I love it. Because
I have a
that's
lot of artistic freedom when it comes to like people not ordering personal cheesecakes.
mm-hmm.
And I've been able to do a lot of that. That's probably where a lot of those weird flavors have come from. And then even to introduce people to stuff like guava. Guava is not a popular flavor around here, but I love it, and it makes an amazing cheesecake. So every now and then I can just kind of put something out there for people to try, and makes me feel good.
Oh man. Oh my god, I love CeeLo's joining in. He's loving it too. Yeah. Um
Yeah,
it,
CeeLo knows about guava because he's from South Florida, so
yeah.
it's like
Oh man.
that. I mean, guava and cream cheese is a classic combination. If you are familiar with any of Latin American cuisine, they'll just take a piece of guava jelly, like a block, and cut a sliver off, and then cut a piece of cream cheese and eat the two together. So to blend them, it just seemed like a natural combination.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never heard of that before. I've always known guava as like a juice ingredient, usually in a punch or what have you, but I am dying to try that now. I'm about to start hollering for Bex to get in here and be like, I found a new wedding cake idea because we were talking about doing a cheesecake or something because that's we're non-traditional, so that'd be like, we want to do all sorts of stuff like that where it's like we want to just do what we want to do. We don't love like that heavy, cake kind of thing. We want to go with the cheesecake. So, it'd be quite special. We might be like, hey Joe, hey Joe.
I have made a three-tier cheesecake for somebody's wedding.
Fucking A, man. See, it doesn't even got to be like that, though. We're trying to keep it like a small little party kind of deal, but that would be cool because I was talking to her about that. Like, I wonder if they do them like in a tier like that, man.
I love anything that's not traditional. Like when I got married, today's actually my anniversary. I got married to my wife 14 years ago today,
Oh, fucking
and
A. Happy anniversary. How's that for a slice of
thank you.
life, folks?
Yeah, our wedding cake was all chocolate. It was a chocolate decorated wedding cake. It was three tiers. The bottom layers were all chocolate. The middle layer was half chocolate, half vanilla. And then the tiny tier on top was a vanilla cake with chocolate icing for people who weren't a big fan of chocolate. The whole room smelled amazing. And yeah, you'll enjoy it much better if you get the kind of cake that you want rather than what people expect or what you think people might like.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. But CeeLo's chiming in right now. Thanks for tuning in, CeeLo. He says that we're activating his big back right now, and I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, we need to hang out. If CeeLo hangs out with me long enough, I'll just eventually inject him with diabetes directly.
Oh yeah, and he says happy anniversary. Yeah, man. We are feeling the love right now, and that's going to carry us through to oh, well, I was just going to say my own little slice, taxes are paid, update from last week. Taxes are paid, house rebuild is in the works, just waiting on that sweet home insurance to come through. Update on the studio, we're hustling, doing some community gathering, setting up for the polls, getting together these proposals for all these different series ideas that we're throwing around, and just kind of seeing what the public, what the talent, what the people on the crew that I have, like what we all want to work on first, because there are just so many possibilities. Some of them kind of the things we can do with no budget, some things that we're gonna try to get sponsorship for, but again, so many possibilities. We have to rein them all in, gather them up, put them all on the buffet table for everyone to look at. Well, I'd like to put together some sizzle reels, some little concept pieces for some of these things, maybe some little trailers or something. Yeah, a lot of ideas in that regard, but that's what these next few weeks are looking at. I've also had an interesting short film thing come down the pike on Fiverr. It's a very serious thing. I'm not going to blow up this guy's spot or get into the specifics of the idea, but it's some really cool work that I'd like to sink my teeth into more, that kind of fictional stuff we've been talking about. So yeah, it's a lot of again, just this ever going theme that we've got of just building.
Very nice. Yeah, you keep working and more opportunities will keep coming to you like that.
Thanks, man.
Here's what I want to know. How has the weather been for you? Because it seems like over the last week, in between our locations, multiple towns have been flooded.
So we are we've had some we're lucky to be at the top of a hill, so there's not really a lot of like immediate flooding. A lot of it goes down, a lot of wrecks in our area because people just forget how to drive when it starts storming. But the big thing around us was the wind. The wind has been taking down trees and limbs in my yard and neighborhood like crazy. Like you'd have thought like a tornado came through here or something. What about your neck of the woods?
Well, I think we would have been in a similar situation as far as the wind, but after the storms we had last year, they have steadily been removing trees over the past like 4 months here. Any trees that were damaged or dead to try to prevent that kind of stuff from happening, and that's made a big difference. The river here got pretty high, and a bunch of people in the town were expressing like the PTSD of watching that happen. Everybody's real shook still from when we got flooded. So, everybody's afraid it's going to happen again. And we just have to try to be optimistic and realistic. I think we're going to get a bunch of snow over the next couple of days too, but that shouldn't flood the town. But just the extreme weather has been crazy these past like 6 months.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of, it's my understanding there's a lot of pressure changes going on in the atmosphere. That's all I'll say about that right now.
If it has to do with like El Nino or La Nina or one of those, we really need to watch how we talk about Mexico.
I was about to say, I don't think we call them that anymore. I think we just say little boy, little girl. Yeah, we got little boy winds and little girl winds coming through.
I didn't even think about that. We got these DEI weather forecasts coming through.
See, like you. Oh my god.
But that's what's going on here locally. Everybody's talking about the weather.
Yeah.
We're all waiting for the spring to come because it's a very seasonal town here. So.
Right, yeah. I'm waiting for spring cleaning for I'm just ready for some warmth for the most part. I've this cold fucks with my back a whole lot, which we'll talk about a little bit more later, but it's it's yeah, I'm kind of over it. But the spring won't necessarily mean less flooding necessarily. It'll be less cold and less atmospheric stuff probably. But
generally it rains a lot in the spring.
Yeah. We just gotta hope that this water keeps finding a better course than through our valley towns. I don't know what to do about that, but I would say science. But I don't know.
You'd think so,
People don't like science these days.
And I mean, we already probably caused a lot of these problems with science.
Hey, all I said was atmospheric changes. I'm just gonna leave it there. Atmospheric changes. Maybe
even developing the technology to build houses, we chose to build them all along the rivers in these areas. Now as the rivers flood the towns.
We chose to build our towns along water sources. We chose to not bury our power lines or secure them in any sort of, maintenance tunnels or anything like that. We did not build our houses out of fucking concrete with solid foundations. We in America, we just want to get it done. We want to get it done soon. We want to get it done as convenient, as cheap as possible. And right by the water, that's so convenient. That's all. Let's just fucking throw some wood together, man. Just, we don't got time for all that fucking concrete and brick and rock and shit. Let's go. Fucking I Love Lucy's on at fucking 8. Let's go.
I understand the river thing. That's like what gave everything life. I mean, my town is based around being a milling town, so the river was the source of the town's income. The mill ran off of water. It was a water wheel. That's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand it, but
yeah. I mean, it's a real.
We're in a mountain lake. Build some drainage, like.
The drainage, the considerations of erosion and just a better, you go to some places that are more infrastructure heavy, and you'll see all these sorts of measures that they take to dike those waters and to really. I know I hit that D word kind of hard. I'm sorry, everybody. Yikes! I really, even I was like a little like whoa. So it's they really stabilize I can't think of the better word for it. Reinforce. That's the thing. Reinforce those.
Protections.
Yeah. But no, it's a real human thing to want to be by water. I mean, we need water. The waterways, the riverways, and whatnot. It's transportation. It's a big survival thing. No. I'm just playing when I say that that's like an American thing or whatever. But yeah, but all this talk of infrastructure brings me to our topical punch topics. This is where we drink the news, folks. So go get some shots ready, because I got a big old cup for ya. Is this it? Yep, there we are. Okay, welcome to Topical Punch, where we drink the news starting with the local and working our way global. We've got the first one here is Virginia Tech's Beyond Boundaries expansion. Have you heard of any of this? I know you're not really this local. This is very local to my own neck of the woods. This is a couple hours away from you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, you sent me an article about it.
Yeah, so, well, and folks, if you don't know, the Beyond Boundaries plan promises to double the size of Blacksburg's campus, double the space for students, double the overcrowding, and let's throw in some high-tech buzzwords to make it sound real fancy. In 2016, Virginia Tech kicked off its Beyond Boundaries plan with the aim to grow the Blacksburg campus nearly twofold by 2047, almost to that Blade Runner sequel. This year, they're launching the 2025 to 27 strategic plan to start implementing this, because if there's one thing we've learned from higher education, it's that a little extra land can solve all our problems. This plan is focused on three big ideas: VT-shaped discovery, communities of discovery, and the nexus of discovery. Is this like a university or Star Trek sequel? Or they're breaking down the campus into 6 districts, each one, I assume, more overpriced than the last. The central spine will feature the drill field and duck pond, and they're adding more trees, which is good. Again, that it's good for the ground, holds the ground. What did you take away from this article?
I thought it sounded kind of like a Islands of Adventure Halloween Horror Nights kind of thing, where they're theming stuff out. There's going to be like a Harry Potter land,
Yeah.
where I'm assuming chemistry classes are going to happen.
Right.
It's like, yeah, I guess as younger people get older, they have to figure out new exciting ways to attract them to college, as more people realize it's not a necessity,
right,
and it's more expensive than they can afford, and all the other negatives about specific like 4-year universities. So it's like they really are going to have to incentivize going there. So it's like, well, yeah, this section here is the living area. Over here, we're going to have these cool things, and here's the water park.
Right. Yeah. It is the life science and technology district. Like, it makes me feel like they're going to be experimenting on the students there.
Maybe they'll allow students to have pets.
Yeah. And you register these pets, and they're part of the whole thing. I mean, I don't know, get together with the SPCA on that. But you're onto something with it's like a very gamified kind of thing, or like the whole thing was like put through like a GPT to like brand.
They're like, okay, how can we make the college more like Comic-Con?
Yes, because this is that generation. I mean, it's going to be the generation of iPad kids. Like, their whole lives have been like gamified.
There's a district specifically for furries, right? 'Cause, I can't remember
I
from the
almost
article.
spit all over my keyboard.
With scratching posts and fake jungle trees.
Yeah, man, it's like I mean, it's again just the whole thing of like this, everything just turning into an amusement park. You really nailed it with that. You really nailed it with that. Like, just make
Yeah,
it's an
I mean,
immersive experience. Of course, it's immersive. It's college, right? Like I thought this. Like, what do you mean an immersive experience? Like it is, and it should all. It just is an immersive experience. You don't have to make this an immersive experience.
yeah, not because of the campus experience. It's like the college itself, the time of your life, the whole thing overall, not because you're in some wacky room.
Virginia Tech brought to you by Bethesda Softworks.
Yeah, they got the World of Warcraft themed cafeteria room.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
great.
I'm. I hope it's that. I mean, every time they do one of these, it's like you hope more of it'll go into the community, but then you just have the rotating, fucking stores and and people move here, get their shit, move away. I mean, yeah, you've heard me talk about it before, folks. But high hopes, high hopes, high hopes, high hopes, high hopes.
No, I'm sure it'll give people a lot more opportunities to consume goods. Stores and places will be set up where you don't even have to leave the college. You can just walk
Well,
to a different section and buy stuff like it's an IKEA.
yeah. And that's what they keep talking about these plans with like Amazon and trying to fit Amazon into things too. And it's like, yeah, that's where they're going with it. But I don't know.
You know what it sounds like to me also, which I just thought of now? It's like Google. It's like the way the Google company campus is. And they've set up all these different locations within the campus that are, aesthetically pleasing for different reasons. And you can go here, and they're just trying to make their employees happier to never leave. And maybe that's becoming a model.
I could see that. I could really see that. I mean, they really, if you think about it, I mean, they've kind of virtually as well as, just literally kind of defined much of the infrastructure of today. I don't know if that's a bold claim, but, you're making me think about the campus and now like, how that kind of like does mirror so much of this, but also just so much of everything. It just, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I feel like they began so much of that whole, immersive experience thing and like, a seamless experience and just very, which is all good. It's all good conceptually, but I think that what we're kind of, maybe not dancing around, but kind of the implication of all of these critiques that we're sort of getting at here is just like everything becomes like a disingenuous, not real representation of things that should be real and taken seriously, and like honestly more messy than kind of the clinical experience that these companies always try to implement.
Yeah, it's like a leave it to beaverization of everything.
Ooh, very.
You can only present the shiny candy coating.
That's such a good point.
Everybody thinks it's delicious chocolate underneath, but it's actually licorice. It's a good and plenty. See, you guys thought it was an M&M. No, it's a fucking good and plenty.
It's just unfortunately, maybe this also applies to, medication. I don't know. It's just like, just placebos and, but moving on to a Virginia Tech advancement that I'm a little more excited about because I'm hoping it translates to more of this being taken seriously. The Virginia Tech explores underground power lines. So meanwhile, Virginia Tech is also working on underground power lines to prevent power outages. Like when the snow falls and stuff, as we talked about, wind and stuff. The first thing, like what it's this kind of debate of approaches that we were talking about earlier. What was your take from this article, Joe?
Well, before I left Florida, the cable company put everything underground. Not the electric company, though.
Mm.
I don't know. I guess as long as it doesn't disrupt service or people's lives, it just sounds like the type of undertaking that's gonna, it's not like the kind of thing they can do quietly at night. It's something that's gonna disrupt
Mm.
traffic and people's days for a long time if they decide to undertake the project where it just becomes everything in the city. That's a lot of work.
Great point. Great point. And it does make you question where is this money coming from. I didn't see whether or not it had anything to do with the Beyond Boundaries thing, because this is more it was about the campus, but I'm hoping this is one of those things that'll, because it is a huge undertaking, it is an investment, but it is more solid, especially depending on how you do it. So this is something I've talked about, that like it's one of those things that comes up in a lot of like doomsday theories about like what is it, electromagnetic pulses and stuff like that. If one of those sun spots, what are they called, like
Solar flares.
solar flares, that's it, hits us, our shit's toast. It's a huge maintenance on power lines is a huge investment every year, as it is. But if you bury it, especially if you put actual tunneling in there, and like you can make it real nice. Jesse Ventura talks about this whenever he goes onto the subject of solar flares. And what's that show he used to have? That was all
The
about
conspiracy show.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
That was how I was introduced to the subject. It was one of those things where I'm like, what? Well, it actually kind of sounded like you go down like a rabbit hole with it. And it's one of the more rational things that comes up in these talks. But Russia, one of the few, well, I don't know about few, but one of the things that they've done right, that is doing this, burying their infrastructure of electricity and cable and what have you, like underground, 6 feet in these tunnels a lot of times that are like, there's access there, kind of similar to how we do water. But, again, it is an undertaking. If something does happen, it is a little more of a chore than just, trading out lines. But, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, creating a whole tunnel system is even more of a freaking job.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And for
Yeah.
some reason in my head, when you were talking about Jesse Ventura describing this, I could hear his voice and him saying like, Harriet Tubman was the original person to come up with this idea.
I almost did a picture, but I'm glad I didn't, because that is way better. That is way better. You see, the thing is, what you have to do is you bury these power lines. And then as he gets more serious, and the people don't understand how important that, like, he whips himself up into a frenzy.
The Underground Railroad was created by Appalachian Power.
Yeah, just all these crazy theories. Yeah. Oh my God, man. I love that guy though. I do. He's wild though. He's wild. Yeah. So they're the points, folks. Let us know in the comments and chat like what you think about power lines and how they should be installed.
But look at Virginia Tech making progress, expanding and growing for some reason. I guess
Again,
they probably have like more students to justify it than they used to, like the
it's
student
insane.
population growth. Yeah.
It's so weird for like, you know, 6, 8 months out of the year. It's like New York City for a few blocks, and then like the rest of the time it's just a fucking ghost town. It's so bizarre.
At least
Uh,
it's like New York City. That's like a cultural melting pot. That's a good example of what you want to see in like a college, like college city or college town.
it's diverse here sometimes. It's diverse, like, not all the time. It's diverse here sometimes. Every now and then, like, you'll find a pocket or a community where you're like, oh, wow, you got cool. Like, but it's very kind of insulated. Like I said, there's a big churn factory or factor of like, like kind of 5 to 10 years. You sort of see like these populations of folks like come in and move out, and it's just as I've said before, part of my whole business model is to hopefully, if we can, bottle some lightning, kind of harness some of this population of folks and be, oh, wait, don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. If you guys, hey, hold on. If you all stay here for like another 5 years, we can make this a cool place. Like, imagine me talking to like a stadium of people, like, with just that little line. Oh, whoa, don't go anywhere. If you all stay here for just a little bit longer, we can make this a cool area.
Yeah, I think that's what Virginia Tech's counting on, because that's the kind of thing that you hope it's for people who are going to stick around for more than 4 years.
Yeah.
My wife went to school in South Florida, and they're still like, "Hey, alumni, come on, we're doing all these events." I'm sure Virginia
Come on
Tech's the
back.
same.
Yeah.
Yeah, stick around.
I need to break through to some of the whoever over there has the resources. I've wanted to, and I have lists and leads and all sorts of things. I'm a very, like, I get things all, as I'm sure you've seen by now. I get everything all together with a nice little bow on it. I get up to the door, I'm about to ring the doorbell, and it's not ready. It's not ready. It's not ready. But I've been watching this whole cycle for like 15 years as I developed this whole idea, and just kind of have seen it happen personally and kind of also from a distance on a grander scale of this cycle that I talk about. And part of that cycle is every 3 to 5 years, like, we're gonna put a whole bunch of money into this, and it's always with the hope they keep people. But again, going back to what we were hitting on earlier, it always turns into this kind of gentrified, vanilla, disingenuous facsimile of real intentions, but it's just, I don't know. I don't know if it's the marketing or what. I don't know. They make it seem real lame. They make it all seem real lame to be here.
The only thing I can compare it to in the time that I've lived here is I've seen plazas that were new and thriving close to open a new plaza as short of a distance as a quarter mile, or as long of a distance as like 5 miles away.
Yeah.
And just massive strip shops and big plate just emptying out and just closing, and then there's just these big empty plots of land that used to be storefronts, and there's just nothing in them now because they moved like 2 miles away. And I was, what's the point of that even?
Yeah, what is, yeah. I've heard weird things like from real estate bros and financial wizards. There's always some weird
Incentive.
yeah, that they're taking advantage of. That, like, for a long time there was a strip mall here. It was kind of 5 strip malls all together in like this huge complex that were empty for like 10-15 years, and they were sitting on it for some weird tax reason. They were making money by holding all of these empty shops, and it was like they turned down businesses and offices being there for the longest time to hold on to this tax incentive. And I was like, that is the ugliest thing, one of the ugliest things I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate how much of that exists and how much worse it's getting right now.
Oh yeah.
It makes
Oh
me wish that
yeah.
I wasn't a small company, that I was just some massive corporation, and I would just be living it up right now.
Making ducats. But no. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm not going to call anything, because we'll see. I don't know. A lot of crazy things are being said all over the place, and I don't know what to make of so much of it. But what I do know is breaking news: A$AP Rocky found not guilty. After a 3-week trial, the rapper had been charged with shooting at his former friend and bandmate. Now, I don't know about you, but I've had a lot of heated arguments with friends, and especially when I'm stoned. I don't know if I could even handle a semi-automatic in that kind of fervor. What about you, Joe? Could you ever fucking hold a weapon at anyone while under any kind of influence? Like, how angry would you have to be? How much money would have to be on the line, Joe?
I don't know. I'd have to be on something stronger than weed.
Oh yeah.
Have to be like shermed out of my mind.
That
And
is a
then,
thing he would sing about sometimes.
And then like that guy tries to touch my wife, and I just happen to have a gun somehow. The only gun I own is a shotgun, so it's not semi-automatic, but it would definitely fuck somebody up.
Oh my god, just imagining you holding it and racking it, like, I just peed a little bit.
Yeah, it's an all black tactical double barrel. It's nice.
Aye. So, yeah. So he may have already been holding it because he was just playing around with a prop. Either that or it was something closer to what you were saying. The truth, probably somewhere in between. I mean, this is such a strange argument.
Wait, did the guy get shot or just shot at?
It seems like it was just shot. He was shot at.
And he took him to court?
Yeah, because like I didn't see anything about. Yeah, I mean it says shot him. So, but it can't have been that serious if it's. The article was really more about the whole argument of like it being a prop gun. That's a good question. Don't have.
It sounds very country music, like old school.
Oh, I want to see that spin on it. I want to see that Facebook article. I want to see how angry people would get.
The Mike Judge's series of Tales from the Tour Bus. He did a season in hip hop. The first season that he did was country music, and in almost every episode, one of those country singers is shooting at one of their friends.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I don't think I've seen. You said this was a Mike Judge project?
Yeah, it's an animated series that he did called Tales from the Tour Bus. And it's a bunch of country music guys from like the 70s telling old stories about being on the tour bus.
Did they animate it?
Yeah, and it's animated,
That's cool.
and there's a lot of people shooting people. Johnny Paycheck. Um, that's who sprung to mind first.
It's
I
like
think he went to jail for shooting
Hazel
somebody.
Everyone
But
I would have
yeah,
guessed might be dead.
but then the lawsuit thing sounds very modern hip hop.
Oh yeah, and I mean it's such a weird dispute because I don't know why they can't prove whether or not it was a prop gun. Prop gun. I like. I if I had more time, I would have like skimmed like three different articles for this. But yeah, that one was just all about how ridiculous. Like he's like, nah, it's a prop gun. So like, I don't know if they just heard about the whole Rust thing or what. I don't even know if I should have said that. People have been bleeping that word recently.
Oh, you're just talking about oxidation?
Oxidation of metal. That's what I'm talking
That's
about.
right.
What a world. Um, yeah, you know, I
Did
stabbing
he
in the
get hit
back.
with a,
Oh,
was it like a rubber bullet or something? Like a prop gun?
see now you got me wanting to get to the bottom of this. I was about to segue out of it, but now I gotta get to the bottom of it. Um,
I just don't understand what like a prop gun. A prop gun to me would not shoot real bullets, as opposed to a gun that can, like a regular gun can shoot blanks. You don't have to use a prop.
yeah.
But a prop is, in the context of the other thing you mentioned, was just because it was involved in it was a piece of movie like set.
Myers and other members of his ASAP rap collective were walking near a Hollywood hotel when Myers allegedly pulled a semi from his waistband, pointed it at Efron, and said, "I'm going to kill you." The two were meeting to settle a dispute, which hasn't really been.
That was a
So
prop threat.
Myers was accused of firing twice in Efron's direction. He told police that he believed one of the bullets grazed his hand. Efron testifies that Myers was aiming down when he fired the first shot. I felt my hand get hot, so I grabbed Ills, used him as a shield. He's going around trying to shoot me. I'm just trying not to get hit. Efron said Myers was running towards him the second time he shot. He's running and shooting, he testified. I know he had to get a whole new security staff, and also I know he walked around with a prop gun like a starter pistol. So yep, you're right. Yeah, something like with blanks that could have still like had some kind of effect that
Oh yeah.
freaked him out. But it's like he's like I got shot in the hand, but he couldn't like prove that he got shot in the hand. What a bunch of goofballs.
Yeah, it sounds very goofy.
Like,
It's like an
wow.
attempt to get street cred in some kind of way. I don't.
I mean they're always I can't remember if this was an episode that you were on or not, but I've said this before when talking about a similar thing of these where well a a usual tangent I'll get into is comparing rap music to metal music and the whole culture, and how they both very much are like they're in an ARG. Like they're like in an alternate reality game. They're kind of LARPing in a way, especially like when they get into these like concepts that are like, I mean, in gangster culture, it's a little more tangible. It's more realistic than like demons and shit like that and like the occult and stuff. But they all do kind of like get into these little, and especially now with the internet and stuff like that, you can really cater your reality to be like. I just said this the other day. Someone sent me like this skit where it was like two different perspectives of something, and one was kind of like comedy and the other was horror, and it's like, and that's the thing, everyone's living in their own genre, You know, everyone's living in their own little movie. And these guys, these knuckleheads, they're like they, you know, they're kids, they're children, and they are rewarded for this kind of behavior that is like, you know, and as we've said before, you know, already with the infrastructure we have in this country, there's not a lot of support for people that are like, I don't know, having like mood issues or whatnot. I mean, again, some of these folks get, because again, we're talking about this to like a larger thing, that this is like kind of a thing that happens. Like people like just bust on each other in all sorts of subcultures of just violence that is like, it's unrealistic. Again, it's people are just like living in these little role plays of sorts, these little weird reality games, but it's reality, you know. I don't know, man. That was a bit of a tangent. I hope it was somewhat cohesive. What am I trying to say, Joe?
I think that's why I enjoyed being a juggalo for over a decade,
Mm,
because the fantasy level is not realistic.
yeah, yeah,
I'm not having to go out on the streets and prove myself, like if I'm trying to pretend I'm a gangster listening to hip hop. It's
right,
talking about like cutting the heads off of priests who are touching kids and stuff. You
right,
know, it's
right,
like
right.
way more far fetched, and I'm not trying to like prove myself to other juggalos by going out and performing horrible acts.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Which in gang culture, something I guess I was kind of skirting around, but now I'm realizing after what you said is a more solid point. Is that gang culture? There is a dimension of reality, even if some of these folks, especially some of the bigger names in hip hop and rap, for them it's not. A lot of times it's more like they're telling the stories of their cousin, or like some stories they've heard, or some of them are just straight up making it up. Some of them were in some real shit. And if you dive into the background of different artists, you can kind of find the reality of their background, whether they started at the bottom or not. And the thing is, there, even when they're faking it or playing a game, there's a dimension of reality where there are real gangs, there are real cartels, there are real, you know, hardcore criminals and what have you. And when there's enough reward for portraying that as real, whether or not it is, you're either getting dopamine from it, you're getting money from it, you're getting credibility from it, whether artistic or street, or just, you know, you're getting better drugs or what. um I think and also we've talked about this before too. Once you get enough money, resources, power, it goes to your head, and your head, your brain melts a little bit. And you're like, you start getting real egotistical. And
I think that's what happened to Rick Ross. It's like, I'm
mm,
from Miami, and you know, he started out talking about a lifestyle that he was not living, and then eventually it got to the point where he could and does live that lifestyle.
are you talking about Freeway or the
I'm talking about the
artist?
rapper.
Well, and his thing too was like he stole the story from like
From an inmate.
inmates,
No,
which
I
is
know.
just
I'm
which is
very
just
aware.
wild,
And
which is
to
just
come from being a
crazy
corrections
work.
guy, yeah, to come from the world of working corrections to portraying yourself as a gangster, you know, it's but he turned the
It's
fantasy
kind of
into reality
gross.
where he's a mogul, and that's why I hate Florida, man. There's so many so many of the people who really make it out of South Florida especially,
Hmm.
they just did it in the worst possible ways, or their personalities are horrible and they were able to make it in spite of that.
Yeah, we got to do a whole Florida episode one day.
Oh, that'd be great.
You know,
Talk about
because
DJ Khaled.
Oh, I wish I could get my fucking sound drops to work, man. I was working on them earlier. Let me see if anything downloaded. Where are
But
the
yeah, it's
DJ
just
Khaled's?
we live, and I think it goes hand in hand with the whole social media thing, where
Yeah.
if you can present yourself a certain way, people don't really care enough to try to prove you wrong. They'll just go along with it if it's entertaining, especially.
Right. And that's because entertainment is modern mythology, like, and like whether or not it's real, it's, it's like sports rivalries. It's like, it's totally, again, it's a facsimile. It's not a real thing, but people have they get a kick out of it. They get a kick out of, I can't get my sound drops to work.
There's
They
like a whole way to commodify it now too. It's not just mythology. I mean, you like modern mythology now is like Mr. Beast.
It's bidness. It's bidness now.
Well, yeah, because these people have empires.
And you see, Jesse, that's the business I'm in. I'm not in the money business. I'm in the empire business.
That guy's downfall was amazing.
Yo, it's, you want to talk, I mean, so much of that show is like what we talk about with like power and ego and money and impulse control and like, it's like Breaking Bad is like, it is as Breaking Bad, and I'm not even joking when I say this. It is as close to a modern biblical story as we have.
Oh, and I'm not joking either. When you said that and you said Jesse, I thought you were talking about Vince McMahon talking to Jesse Ventura doing commentary back in the day on the
Oh,
WWF.
that's so funny. Well, there's some
And you're like,
mythology
I'm in
for you.
the empire building business. And I'm like, oh, yeah, Vince
Oh,
McMahon said that for sure.
wait a second. Hold on. Did we just stumble across that Walter White is actually an analog for Vince McMahon?
Way less sexual proclivities.
Woo! No, that's not. Who is that? Um, well, he kind of does that too. He's gonna puke. He's gonna puke. That's my favorite one. That's my favorite one.
Yeah, I always liked when he yelled at Stone Cold and you're going to jail. You go to jail, Austin. My friend in high school, we used to yell that at each other.
It's so funny. It's so, I'm not even like a wrestling fan, but I just it I'm a big fan of personality humor. And I mean,
Hmm.
come on. That's, wrestling is like at least 20 to 40% personality humor.
Yeah,
Um,
because everybody's over the top.
yeah, they're cartoon characters. I love it. Um, so, um, I couldn't get the soundbite to work, but the doctor said I might need a bacchiotomy. Now, picture Dave Chappelle having said that. Um, Convo Disco this week is, this is something, it relates to some stories that we've talked about in the past on Slice of Life, where I talked about it a little bit ago, where I got a bad back. I got a bad back. My family has a thing where we don't have lower back muscles. Like, I don't know what it is. It's like one of the many things where I'm like, this DNA, it's just no good. I mean, like, it's not great. It's not great genes. It's not great genes. Um, because the astigmatism, the ulcers, the mental illness, the addiction, and just no back, no back. I don't know what it is. Um, and the cold makes it so much worse. It gets so tight. My muscles in my back. What little bit is there? It all just gets so tight. And then I'm really bad at craning. I have bad posture to begin with. I'm on devices all the time. I get editing neck, and I crane with my back a lot, and I always have. It's weird when you do like physical therapy and stuff like that, and you start becoming more aware of how you move your body and how you're just not good at it. I mean, it makes me have so much more respect for athletes and like the control that they have over their bodies and how they move their muscles and stuff like that. I mean, I work out a little bit. I do a little bit of yoga. I don't. It's not. I'm not gonna claim I do any more than like 30 minutes of like kind of soft exercise. I'm not a very active person. I probably move at most usually 2 miles a day. That's not great. But at the end of the day, it's like a couple years ago, I was craning my back, petting my animals, and I went into a coughing fit, and a fucking disc in my spine. I kind of felt it. Those things back in the day that shot discs, little paper discs. You'd like pull the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
That's happened between my vertebrae.
That's fun.
I felt it. I heard a pop, and there was I fell to the floor, and it was so wild, the shock, like I couldn't feel my legs and feet for a little bit, so I thought I was like paralyzed. I was freaking out. They found that it was like kind of like the disc slipped, and now it's like kind of herniated, and every few months or so, and I'll tweak it or sleep wrong or something. And I don't know. I always lifted with my legs. I always did all the things they tell you to do, right? Right. I mean, Joe, you're a baker. You're in a kitchen. You're moving all the time. You're moving heavy, probably big old bags of flour and whatnot. Like, what's your experience in this wheelhouse?
Well, I spend probably at least 12 hours a day on my feet, and every minute that I work, I'm on my feet, and I'm a tall person,
Mm-hmm.
and I have to have like insoles in my shoes, or my back will go out just from the amount of weight and force I'm putting on mine. I would recommend to you, and I've not talked to you about this before. Have you thought of a penis reduction? 'Cause I know you're lugging around that hog, and that is got to be killing you.
That is slander, sir. That is slander. I don't think they could take off anymore, bro. No. Cut to this is real deep cut, but the guy's like, it's normal sized. But yeah, I mean, you would think that from this article that I read and I sent you, right? Like,
I thought that's what this picture that you posted was also having to do with the angle of your dangle and you dropping a load there. And I guess the counterweight would be if you had to get like a Brazilian butt job.
yeah, well, no, see, that's the plug. That's the weighted plug, because you see, there's a lot of like, you got to balance it out. These are such heavy loads. You really got to balance it out with something in the back door.
That's not an arrow, it's a foxtail.
A foxtail, yeah. Did you ever see that meme of the person who's like in like a store, and they got like one of those going on, and like the caption was like, all it takes is one curious kid and you're like clean up an aisle or whatever.
And I'm pretty sure on the diagram here the red square is your prostate.
Yeah, and that's where all the tension is. That's where the magic happens. That's where the magic happens. Yeah. No, this so for years we've been told not to use our backs when lifting, but according to Mia Inman's research, your back is actually designed to lift loads like a crane. So instead of lifting with your legs, maybe the real advice should be to train your damn back to handle it.
That seems counterintuitive. Like, I'm pretty sure I know my entire life I've been told you lift with your knees, you don't lift with your back, because that's how you hurt your back.
Is it a myth? Is it a myth? Do we just need to rethink how we train our bodies?
Oh, see, here's what it is. I think You are able to lift with your back. You're just not able to lift with your arms if you're using your back. So if you use arms while you lift with your back, then your back goes out. But if you're somehow able to just carry stuff with your back,
Well, so in the 1980s, New Zealand's Accident Compensation Corporation, ACC, launched a campaign to reduce back injuries, emphasizing the phrase, "Don't use your back like a crane." This advice became mainstream, instructing people to avoid bending at the hips and instead use their legs when lifting. The campaign's goal was to prevent injuries, but Inman argues it was misleading and oversimplified. And I think I've got a chart here that can show us where we went wrong. Can you see that? Can you see that, Joe?
I see that. I see that fulcrum.
Yeah, look at that fulcrum there. See,
Shake that fulcrum.
that's where the magic happens.
This is where you find out that you're being told you need to twerk. Twerking is the best way to lift.
Which isn't very far from my physical therapy that I had to do. And I mean, that's about where that vertebrae was. It's all coming together.
The only lifting that you're gonna do doing that, Corey, is lifting my spirits.
I'll send you the clips. I'll send you the clips.
I want to see you shake it.
See, Inman critiques the traditional lifting advice, stating that it places excessive strain on the knees, which lacks significant muscle support, reduces overall lifting capacity by underutilizing the body's strongest muscles, ignores the natural biomechanics of human movement. It's nearly impossible to keep a fully upright back when lifting from the floor, encourages back weakness over time rather than strengthening it for real world lifting scenarios. You know?
See, again, I think this is like you're supposed to be carrying the stuff on your back.
Yeah, just as much as possible, as often as possible. Yeah, I love it too, because when I was showing this to my lady, who I had to like kind of like go through and comb through and like dumb it down for myself to really understand what this, because I started like looking at other articles and I'm like trying to find weird irony in those two, but like she really had to like explain it like I was 5. And some of the stuff, which we'll get to in a little bit, is like it's like half true. It's like kind of like yeah. I mean, this could also be argued as oversimplifying as well. But she just like totally laughed when she's like, they're like comparing people to crane. People aren't cranes. People aren't like, what do you like? This analogy is just fraught with like, I mean, I can kind of see where they're pointing scientifically to the similar things, but like, I don't know.
It's different. Growing up in the 90s, I was taught if you're gonna like get something off of the floor, you put your hands up on your hips and then you dip. I dip, we dip.
Hold on, wait, what?
I was taught that when you pick something up off the floor, you put your hands up on your hips and then you dip. I dip, we dip. It was a dance song.
Okay, in the 90s. Okay. I'm hoping there's a segment of the audience out there that got that. I'm 92.
People just tuned
92.
out. We just lost CeeLo if we didn't already.
I think he's been popping in and out. Folks, the clips are coming. They're coming. So the deadlift is a natural movement that reinforces the principle of the back being a class 1 lever, which this is like bringing back like 7th grade physics kind of shit, training the back to handle loads efficiently and safely. So the deadlift, like, I mean, yeah, everyone knows a deadlift. I think instead of avoiding back involvement, people should strengthen their posterior chain. I hope everyone just squeezed their glutes like I did when I said that. Spinal erectors, glutes, hamstrings to support spinal integrity under the load. Yeah,
if if you're a guy who's into back shots, that was a hell of a sentence.
I'm not done there. I'm not done there. So, the science behind the crane model of lifting a crane and a properly executed deadlift share similar mechanics. The fulcrum, hips for humans versus base of the crane, rigid structure, the spine of humans versus the jib of the crane, counterweight, hamstrings, glutes, adductors in humans versus the ballast weight of the crane. The spine must remain rigid and braced through muscle engagement, not avoided. So for folks that are into, like he said, so that back work, for folks that are into that mechanical stuff, let's go back and ASMR that shit. No?
What a weird diagram.
Someone obsessed over this. Multiple people, perhaps.
I think it's a guy who really wants to get fucked by a crane.
Well, it's so this is New Zealand, so I don't know, how the naming of genders go, but this is Mia Inman. So this lady, Mia, if so is
She might have a crane fetish.
this is all from experience. This is all from experience. Mia Inman, come on to the Snide Show. The importance of training the back for strength. Weak backs lead to injury, not strong ones. Sure. Proper deadlifting technique reinforces spinal alignment, preventing excessive lumbar flexion. Imagine that in like a New Zealand accent, like proper deadlifting technique reinforces spinal alignment, preventing excessive lumbar flexion.
I'm just thinking of rigid member.
Rigid member. The Valsalva maneuver, holding breath for intra-abdominal pressure, is key for stability under load. So the
my fulcrum.
Yeah, kiss my fulcrum. Oh, if that's not already some like fucking like bumper sticker out there, like that's taken, folks. That's trademark. Snide Studios, kiss my fulcrum. The Valsalva maneuver is that one like when you really got when you're like when you're constipated and you're pushing.
Yeah, that's the name of it.
That's what it is. That's the Valsalva maneuver. That's the Valsalva maneuver, which can lead to stroke, as we all know.
Oh, my favorite dance move.
Who are you, Elvis?
I'm looking at the graph here, diagram.
Oh no, not the whole thing, but just the like if that motherfucker is like pushing like they're really struggling, like that whole thing. Yeah. I feel like I gotta take this now. I feel like it's too distracting for you, Joe. I mean, if you're still like, then I know everyone else is going to be too. So training progression is essential. The spine, like any other structure, adapts to stress by getting stronger. Adoy. So yeah. I mean, I don't know. So I think this is one of those things where the truth is somewhere in the middle. I think there is a point here that like, yeah, maybe folks have like let their backs get weak by like not engaging it enough. Like, so maybe just throw a little like 10% of like activating the back or all that, like while you're activating all that other stuff.
Somebody who's like had back issues also, and at my age, I would be so afraid to even try to introduce something like that into a routine that I'd have to go into it like shooting myself up with steroids before I even try. Is like either steroids or testosterone or something that's going to help me build muscle to strengthen my back, because my back without that muscle is not strong.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you, man, because like I have to be so ginger with shit and like I said earlier, and I'm sure you get this too, where you're kind of like overthinking how you're moving because you know that as soon as you don't think about how you're moving, you're gonna like fuck it up. Um, yeah, yeah. And in many ways, perhaps it's too late. It's too late for us. Also, the way they taught us to do sit-ups as kids was real fucked up, and I learned that later in life. You shouldn't go up all the way. You really don't even need to. You're not even really activating the abs anymore at that point. You're just like fucking up your spine. You kind of go up like 50%. You just go up 50%, and you just do a lot of those, and you'll feel it. You'll feel
Yeah, they make us do those sit-ups in school and then have the nerve to test us for scoliosis years later.
it. Yeah, man. Which they kind of had this thing. I have this reoccurring theme in my life, and tell me if this is something that resonates with you as well. With health professionals being like, "Yeah, it's bad, but it's not that bad. I've seen worse. You're good, man." Like, really,
Oh no, I
like
was just always told I was fat.
that's a big thing too. That's a big thing too. But they're like, "Yeah, you get a little weight off you, it'll be better." It's like, all right, I'm trying. But
You're like, hey, I'm 12, thanks.
yeah. So yeah, big thing was because I kind of like blew up at like 13, 14. Um, they did find like a slight curvature, but they're like, it's not. It could be worse. I had like
It
symptoms of
gives you character.
if yeah, there probably was a little bit of that. I had like symptoms of like asthma, and they're like, yeah, it's bad. Your mom smokes. It's not, it's not that bad. Um, there was for years I had like symptoms of like a peptic ulcer, and they like were like, it's not an ulcer, it's not an ulcer, it's not an ulcer, and they finally found the ulcer. They're like, it's not like it's cancerous or anything. So yeah, but it's there. I don't like it. I it's just a whole lot of, you'll be fine. It's all good. Um, yeah. So the back is like was like a similar thing of by the time it got to like where popped the disc out, it's like it's too late to do anything now. Um, so do you think getting back to like posture, lifting, back health, do you think we're overcomplicating things, or is this just another excuse to sell gym equipment and ergonomic office chairs for $1,000? I saw a sweet one the other day. This fucking standing desk. I saw a standing desk the other day. Oh my god.
When I was young, I had a friend who had a kneeling chair at his computer desk where you're like kind of on your knees and your shins instead of sitting on your butt. It elevates you and makes you almost stand upright in the chair. It was really cool.
Yeah.
I wouldn't spend a lot of money on something, but as I said, like both of us have had issues with our back. We know it's not like a bunch of bullshit, but it's
Yeah.
also not worth investing thousands of dollars in. Like I told you previously, I have an inversion table, and that's a big help when my back is hurting me. That was like $120.
Oh, my friend that has one or had one and got rid of it before I was able to fucking try it. Um, I'm still, I'm still stuck on the kneeling. I'm still stuck on the kneeling. Like I've seen where people have those under the desk, but that's like for someone else. That's not for the person using the desk.
I mean, I think it's supposed to be, right? And that's how that was the chair that my friend had his computer desk. I thought it was badass.
Yeah, I'm trying to picture it. Is it the one where it's like it's elevated, but you're like it's like a massage chair almost?
No, no, it looks like a bench, but you can't sit on it because your knees and your shins rest on it, and your upper torso is just like up. It doesn't have back support.
It's like front support.
It's like leg support,
Legs.
and then
God damn, I
you're
can't.
like on your knees and your shins instead of your feet. So like you're not putting all your weight on your feet, and it's also not on your lower back.
Yeah.
There's like a support under the like top part of your back of your legs, I believe. But I'll see if I can find a picture and send it to you. It was just a
Okay.
really weird thing that I remember my friend having.
I just found some, and I'm trying to where is the one? Well, this will work. That do it? Yeah. Like these? Like these some of the bitches?
Um, kind of, but not with separate. It was just a single bar.
Wow.
But see, yeah, I mean, you can see they're like, it says
It says
ergonomic
ergonomic, but
chair.
I feel like when my disc is like slipped, I'm like it feels like my top half of my body and my bottom half of my body are like two separate pieces of like a puppet, and there's like one string holding them together, and it's just I'm kind of like balancing there. What are yours like?
Mine, I mostly get where I can't stand up straight, like I'm physically unable to straighten my body out, like I have to be bent over.
Mm-hmm.
And also I can't sit comfortably, and I have severe like sciatic pain in my right leg. It's like searing flames
Oh, okay.
shooting from like my lower back down to almost my foot sometimes.
God damn, man. Man.
This is
How
a
did
nice podcast about us getting older.
welcome to the 30 show. I don't know. Yeah,
And I
yeah,
can tell there's a winter storm coming because my back's hurting. You know?
yeah. See, mine's like it's similar, but it's like sideways rather than like forward or back. It's like kind of like sideways. It's like I mean, it literally is like there's like a wedge, like a triangular wedge between like vertebrae to the side, like on the right side. It's so weird, man. And it's so like those nerves, as you were talking about with like the sciatica, like the nerves are all like connected in a weird way that it like radiates to other parts of the body that just don't even make sense.
Yeah. Next time we're together, we can touch each other's bulging discs.
Yeah, we'll do like a whole like massage segment, snide massage, snide. I don't know.
I'd paralyze you. I'm not good at that. It's like one thing, like I've been with my wife for so long, I will not try to give her a massage because I will hurt her every time. I cannot control the strength in my hands for some reason.
That could be funny though. That could be fun. You know what I'm saying? Like like, you're like I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and then in the next segment, you're in a wheelchair.
Yeah, yeah, right. Like we'll get insurance for that one. So it's yeah, I mean it's a whole thing, and like people just need to know because you think you're invincible. You think you're invincible, and then one day you cough or you sneeze weird, or like you pick up a bucket and you twist and you do it in a weird way that it's like people are like, "Oh shit, was that bucket full?" And you're like, "No, it was empty." And they're like, "You what? For real? You what?"
Yeah, and then for 6 weeks you're in debilitating pain.
And they were and the word on the street is he picked up an empty bucket, like in like an empty bucket. Yeah, an empty bucket. And like, but he said he twisted. Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah, yeah, but it was empty. I don't know. Is he's trying to get away with something? Like
You start creating a myth for yourself if you do something embarrassing like that.
it is, but it's the story of my life. I mean, it's the it's like um yeah it's yeah but it's very validating to have you here on this journey, Joe, to like talk about these kinds of things because it is it's validating and it's yeah, we're kindred souls, and
Just wait till you get to your 40s and you start having anal leakage.
ooh ooh I think I heard they're going to play Floyd Fest this year. I'm glad you laughed at that. I was like halfway through and I'm like, is this is this too this is too this
It's
is
the name
hack.
of my new tie-dye company,
Like it's all browns and reds and like
Earth Tones. Yeah,
greens for when you had that oh, what does that? What does that?
that I told you that black Whopper that I ate.
Oh, right, right. Yeah, yeah. It was like it's like the Adams Family or some shit. Um, yeah. Oh fuck, man. I'm trying to think of if I missed anything. Yeah, this was kind of just petering out with spinal the spinal talk. That should be the segment this week on spinal talk.
Yeah, we tap into it.
Yeah. Tap in with us,
Oh
folks.
man, when I was in high school and I was doing radio, I ended up becoming an intern for the station, and I took the position from a guy who had to leave for medical reasons, and he was in college and he had to have a spinal tap because he kept getting cancer from dipping tobacco. And it was
Oh.
like the second or third time he got it, and they were like, we need to do a spinal tap to make sure it's not spread more. And he said it was the most god awful painful thing he'd ever experienced in his life.
I've heard that. I've heard of that, and that is a nightmare. But it's a trade off, man, because shit. I mean, dipping. Those guys love it. They love it. They love it, and it seems like it's worth it to them. You see those dudes that are like missing their jaw and they're still doing it. You're like, that must be something else.
Right? I wish I got that feeling from anything.
Yeah, I mean,
I
you know,
wish I loved anything that much that I would be willing to lose my jaw. I can't even say I love my kids that much.
no, no, no. I have
I need my jaw.
YouTube Nald said crazy. That's right. This is pretty crazy. Um, yeah. So, yeah, it's all crazy work here. Listen to earlier in the show. You'll hear some real crazy work. Um, I think that's it though for this week, Joe. Folks, let the folks at home know where they can find more of you.
Oh, you can catch me on Instagram at Joe's Not Joking, in the town of Damascus, just walking around, or at Blue Ridge Comedy in Bristol, Tennessee. Open mics on Wednesdays. Most weekends I show up. Come on through and find me. You never will.
Fucking A, man. Fucking A. Now, there's the real super big superstar right there. Because Snide Studios, again, like I said at the top of the show, we're still just kind of rebuilding, figuring out like what fictional projects we want to tackle this year. Stay tuned for those polls and stay tuned to the Snide stream where we're going to be unleashing all kinds of cool new live lo-fi weirdness. And yeah, snidestudios.com is where you can kind of find the nexus point to everything else. That site is being expanded and enhanced every week going forward. And I think that's about it over here. Stay snide.
Hey, see you next Tuesday.